Breaking news this evening as life here in Massachusetts is about to change. Thanks for joining us, everyone, on this Tuesday. I'm Pisano.
And I'm Jordyn Jagolinzer. We're at what could be seen as a turning point in the COVID-19 pandemic as Governor Charlie Baker gives the go-ahead for the final stage of the state's reopening plan. And we have team coverage on that plan and how it will affect you. Western Mass News reporter Leon Purvis is standing by with some big local traditions making a comeback this year.
But first, we head out to Western Mass News reporter Audrey Russo. She's live in Springfield with more on what those changes will look like locally. Audrey?
Yeah, those changes proposed by the governor and set to be put in motion starting this Friday are sweeping, from changes to the mask mandate to other additional capacity limits being lifted from venues and events. Now, I spoke with some of the organizers of some of the biggest summer happenings that usually occur in Western Mass and how they could affect your family's summer plans going forward.
A lot of these decisions that we needed to make based on the data that was available were destined to make lots of people unhappy.
It was May 18th of 2020 that Governor Charlie Baker announced the start of the COVID-19 reopening plan. And for months, Western Mass News has kept you updated each time the state shifted into different phases and steps. Now, the end is in sight. Effective April 30th, face coverings are required outdoors only when social distancing is not possible. They'll still be required indoors and at some outdoor events, but the $300 fine is being eliminated. On May 10th, Massachusetts will enter Phase 4, Step 2 of the reopening plan. Capacity limits will increase to 25% for venues like stadiums and arenas. On May 29th, gathering sizes will also increase, and festivals and parades can have 50% of their previous capacity. And state officials say as of August 1st, all industry restrictions will be lifted.
The pancake breakfast of like 12,000 people. The fireworks are tens of thousands of people.
Western Mass News spoke to Judy Matt, president of Spirit of Springfield. She says her two biggest events, the world's largest pancake breakfast and Star Spangled Springfield, are typically held before that August 1st date.
We will not be doing the 4th of July on the 4th of July because there's just too many unanswered questions.
Matt tells Western Mass News that for the time being, her team is looking to hold both events on a Saturday in September.
We'd like to do pancakes in the morning and then fireworks in the evening.
With the Big E announcing more of their plans Monday, this new information gives a more clear understanding of what that could look like come September. We also spoke with one of the organizers of the 3-county fair in Northampton, who tells us he's planning for a full-fledged, as close to normal fair this year. Big news for events that were canceled or pared down last year, but the governor says it's all contingent on public health data continuing to improve.
The fastest and best way that we can all participate in making that happen is by getting vaccinated.
And Governor Baker said today that if public health data continues to trend in a positive direction, he might be able to institute some of those changes slated for August 1st a little bit earlier. But again, he says that's all contingent on public health data. Live in Springfield, Audrey Russo for Western Mass News.
Audrey, thanks for that live report. Our team coverage turns to road races and youth sports tournament play now allowed under the latest stage of reopening.
Western Mass News reporter Leon Purvis joins us live with a reaction from the community. Leon?
Chris, Jordan, well, for one thing, this means that youth baseball leagues can play teams from out of state in tournaments. Also, for fundraisers like Rays of Hope could be back to normal in October.
We are very optimistic for the future. However, we are also very concerned with public health and safety at Bay State Health.
Kathy Tobin, the director of annual giving and events for Bay State Health Foundation, shares her excitement about a more normal future. With road races given the green light as of May 10th, it's looking good for this year's Rays of Hope Walk and Run in October. Gathering limits could be lifted by then, but they're still planning for all scenarios.
So we have a very committed grassroots committee who is meeting already virtually to make plans for all eventualities.
The state's new guidelines also allows youth sports tournaments to play this summer, including out-of-state teams.
To see the best team from Maine, the best team from Eastern Mass, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, and so forth to come to Westfield to play, our kids will be highly motivated to be to want to be on the team.
Daniel Welch, the president of the Greater Westfield Babe Ruth League, tells Western Mass News they're hosting the New England Regional Tournament this summer with the World Series in New York.
The plans are from Babe Ruth headquarters still, as of 2 weeks ago, that they're still expecting to have those this year.
And as for the big race, the Boston Marathon is planned for October 11th. Live in Agawam, Leon Purvis, Western Mass News.
Leon, thanks. The Department of Public Health releasing today's COVID-19 data. The state's positivity rate over the past week sits at 1.7%. The state also sadly seeing 4 new deaths due to the virus. And so far, more than 3.6 million Massachusetts residents, that's more than half, have received 1 dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. There are approximately 6.8 million who live in the Bay State. For a full look at those numbers, you can check out our free Western Mass News streaming app.
And one of those 3.6 million vaccinated was our own governor, Charlie Baker. The governor taking to Twitter today to announce he got his second Pfizer dose at the Heinz Convention Center in Boston. He also says in part, quote, "The vaccine is safe, effective, and it saves lives. Getting vaccinated is the best way to protect yourself, your family, and our community." More breaking news now across the state as the state sets May 17th as the date all high school students will be back in the classroom for full in-person learning.
Western Mass News reporter Lindsay Kane is live for us in Springfield, where high school students are still remote as of now. Lindsay?
Chris, Jordan, some districts in our area already got ahead and set their own dates for high schoolers to return to in-person learning. But for those districts who haven't, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education have released their own mandatory timeline. As of May 17th, all high school students across Massachusetts, grade 9 through 12, are required to be back in school full-time, fully in person. One Springfield parent tells Western Mass News she's excited for her son to be back in person, but is confused with the late start as summer is quickly approaching.
His grades dropped because he needs to have that, that in-person kind of thing, because it's really hard for him to stay focused. So I think that's why it's exciting for me, because I'm excited for him in that case. But I still think it was just poorly planned.
Springfield is one local district that had not released any dates for high schoolers to return in person. Elementary and middle school city students are currently in a hybrid learning model. The district got a waiver from the state to ease into the transition to full in-person learning. Elementary and middle school students were previously given start dates to go back to in-person learning. We have reached out to Springfield city officials to learn more about their plan, but are still waiting to hear back. Live in Springfield, Lindsay Kane, Western Mass News.
It's a beautiful afternoon after a really fantastic start to the day. I mean, when I woke up, it was cloudy and chilly, but for those early risers, it was a brilliant sunrise this morning. Danny in Springfield sent in this photo. All the colors almost looked like the sky was on fire. After that chilly start this morning, though, once the sunshine came out, because we did have cloudy skies for a while, we saw a big warm up. Temperatures this afternoon so far have reached lower 70s. In fact, we are still at 70 degrees in Springfield. Monarch Sky Cam showing blue sky, but also some high thin clouds that are going to continue to stream in. Little breezy at times. Wind is out of the west at about 5 to 15 miles an hour. It's warm throughout the Pioneer Valley, a little bit cooler in the hills with some lower to middle 60s, Pittsfield, Blandford, Worthington. But Ware is down to about 66. Palmer is still checking in at 69, and so is Greenfield. Our satellite loop right now is indicating these high thin clouds by the gray that you see here, and more of those are back off to our north and west, and they will continue to build overnight tonight. So we're not going to be as chilly as the last few nights. 7 p.m. we're still in the upper 60s. Skies turn cloudy through 11 p.m. with temperatures dropping into the lower 50s. Our overnight lows should stay in the 40s with a couple of showers, even a rumble of thunder possible overnight into early tomorrow morning. And then looking at your Wednesday planner, we do have a mostly dry morning into the early afternoon, and then between about maybe 4 or 5 o'clock to 6, 7 o'clock, we have this batch of showers and storms that'll come through. It's not looking like anything severe, but right out ahead of it, we could see temperatures spike into the middle and upper 70s if we're lucky. I'll talk more about that in just a few minutes. Back to you guys.
Janna, thanks. Tonight, parents in Agawam may learn that their child will be forced to move to another school. The school committee set to announce new street listings for elementary schools at tonight's meeting. Meeting begins at 7. The redistricting's purpose is to balance out the elementary schools. You want to be sure to stick with Western Mass News to find out if your street has been impacted.